Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm out in the garden here, I'm picking some beans. I want to can up another 9 pints today. I have a lot of requests to show some canning videos, that's why I'm doing a couple. I just did the beets, now I'm doing the beans. If you're just starting out doing canning, beans are going to be the easiest thing that you can do. Shortest time in the pressure cooker. It's not hard at all. One thing that I like to do, about the only thing, is when I'm out in the garden, I like to snap it here versus getting any of the plant with it. And I also like to do the crack at the end also. If you have to bring it in and do that with a knife or sit inside and flick these ends off, it gets so tedious, so I like to do it right out in the garden. The only real thing to keep in mind when you're picking these is if there's any, of course, that have any bad spots or look rotten or anything, or after you start picking these you can just kind of tell, and if any of them seem real soft, I just toss those out. There's so many beans here, it's not like I have to save every single one. Like right here, these are kind of got some mold on it and they're soft. I just toss those out. There's another one right there. Now that we have all the beans picked and back inside where there's air conditioning, these, like I said, go fast. So the first 3 things we're going to do is we're going to put in 9 jars into the oven at 240 degrees so I can let them sit in there for about 20 minutes, which, like I say in every one of my canning videos, I don't really think that's necessary when you're using a pressure canner, but I do it anyway just to be safe. I also have to get the water in the canner started to boil, and I also have to get one other container of water boiling so we have water to pour over the beans once we put them in the jar. Okay, so now we got the jars in the oven. I've got this bunch of water here that'll be for pouring over the beans. About 2.5 inches in the bottom of the canner here, and bring that up to a boil also. Now with the beans, since we already took off this end and this end, all I have to do is wash all these beans, and then we're going to get them cut up. You can can these whole in the jar if you want to. In fact, I've done it before, they turn out fine. You just don't get that many in the jar when you're done, so I like to cut them up. Alright, well the beans are all washed up now, so now I'm going to take and put the lids into a little pan and get some water boiling over those to get that seal softened up a little bit. Alright, beans are all cut up. Now I got to pull the jars out of the oven. Now that we got our hot jars, we just want to fill these up almost to the top. You want to leave them down about 1 inch. Now I've got all the jars filled up, and what's left over here I'm going to actually put that into a quart freezer bag and put that in the freezer, because for a stir fry or something in the wintertime, that works out really well. Now we're just going to take hot water, fill these up to within 1 inch of the top. Next thing you're going to want to do is try to get the air bubbles out. Shaking them does pretty good. Run a butter knife or something down in there. After that, check your water level, because it's going to go down on some of them. Add a little bit so you get back up to about 1 inch from the top. Don't forget to wipe off the rim. After you have all your rims wiped off, Grab your softened covers that you had in boiling water. Put those on the jars. After that, we're just going to put our bands on. Bring them down like that, finger tight. Finger tight, just like that. Now if you wanted to with these beans, you could have added salt. I don't really taste that much of a difference, but if you were going to, you'd put in a half a teaspoon per pint and 1 teaspoon per quart. Now it's time to put them in the canner. Now that we have all our jars in the cooker, we're just going to sit here and bring this all back up to a boil. And we're just going to let it sit there for a good 10 minutes and boil just to bring everything up to the same temperature. It does help a lot in keeping jars from breaking during the canning process. Well, this has been boiling for quite a while now. So I'm just going to let it sit like this. Once it starts blowing steam out, I'll let it blow steam for about 10 minutes and then we're going to cap it. Well, we've been blowing a solid steam for over 10 minutes now, so I'm going to put my weight on. And now I'm going to bring this up to 10 pounds of pressure. I actually like to do it around 11 pounds, so you have a little bit to play with, because they say if it drops below 10, you got to start all over again. And for pints now, I have to do them for 20 minutes. If you were going to do quarts, you would do it for 25 minutes. These are pints, of course, and I usually do it about 22 minutes just to be safe. I'm just sitting here trying to think if there's anything I didn't cover. When you're canning, make sure that you don't start your time until you get to the desired, what you want for your pounds of pressure. For us, we're doing 10 here. I'm roughly 1,000 feet above sea level here. That's why 10 pounds works for me. And the only other thing I could think of was the type of beans that I have in there this time are the Bush Blue Lake 274s. Okay, so we're just hitting 10 pounds, so I'm going to start my timer for 22 minutes. I'm going to turn this down from high down to number 2, which usually rides that just about 11 pounds. Now we're just going to let this sit here and come down on pressure all by itself, and then after it does drop and the little thing pops down, and then we'll open it up and see what we get. Okay everyone, well now you know how I can beans. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you on the next video. I think next up for canning is going to be carrots.